face and start kicking ass, just like it said at the beginning of the program.
Man of the hour, tower of power, too sweet to be sour.
Sending your ass on the jabroni jet to the other side of the territory, brother.
The Alabama Hammer.
Nightmares on the best part of my day.
The goods from the woods.
Hot damn!
Welcome to the Goods from the Woods. My name is Rivers Langley.
I'm Sam Harder.
I'm Carter Glasscock.
And we are so excited to be joined by our featured guest today. He is the host of the Leaving the Tribe podcast, and he is one of my favorite stand-up comedians to watch in Los Angeles. The man needs no more introduction, so I'm just going to have him say his name. Everybody, please welcome.
Tom Goss, yeah. You know how fucking here's how bad Mean Boys has fucked me up. You guys went in a circle. I'm like, what burn are they gonna throw at me?
Oh,
I thought for sure. Yeah.
We're here to exalt Tom Goss.
There was no Larry doesn't have cable guy. There was no fucking C-list roast joke thrown my way, and I was waiting for it. Yeah, thanks for having me, man. I'm really excited to do this.
Yeah,
You're nice. I like you.
Yeah, yeah. We've been wanting to get this together for a long time, and also maybe just about, I don't know, less than a week ago, the topic of Jerry Springer came up, and it's a topic that's come up on the show a lot, but we've never really devoted all of our time to Jerry that he deserves.
Sure.
And
He gave us, 20 years?
Jesus, so many years. Yeah, well, we'll get into it, but and then I also that sort of perfectly lined up with, we gotta get Tom on the show, and I was like, I bet Tom's a Jerry Springer guy.
You know what? I was in like middle school and high school. I watched it.
I think that's most
bunch.
people. Yeah.
Yeah. And here's how I got into the show. Is it okay if I tell this story?
Totally. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Here's how I got into the show.
Well, real quick, I was gonna say I hit you up and I was like, hey, would you be interested in doing this? As a topic? You're like, well, I do have a good Springer story, and I was like, oh, perfect.
Yeah. So this is a story of how I got in the show. It's probably not gonna be as juicy as I pitched it to you when I first told you I had a story. But so I was homeschooled growing up, Buddhist, very kind of sheltered in that way. And so when I left homeschooling, went to middle school, it was a very different, like I didn't know what Jerry Springer was until then.
Right.
And in middle school, I was in a music appreciation class, and basically what we did in that class is we screened off the back of the classroom to the teacher, and then we wrestled. We just fucked around with this teacher. This teacher, he was kind of nice. Like me and him made bets on sports over pizza.
Wait, you wrestled with the teacher?
No, we didn't wrestle with the teacher.
Oh,
but
okay.
I gambled with the teacher a bunch. We made a bunch. We
Gambled over pizza. We wrestled at his house. It was
And
do we want to shout this teacher out?
oh, I don't remember his name. There's no way he's still employed because he did fuck dick nothing. And also you did music appreciation. Like what a waste of a class. To comprehend that at a middle school level, it just doesn't exist.
Well, so real quick, so it's a music appreciation class. I presume he was some sort of music teacher, and you said you wrestled in there.
Oh no, absolutely not a music teacher.
Oh no, it was
there was no music. There was no music.
Well, I wanted to ask, like, because in my head, if you're wrestling in a music class, are there risers? Are there choir risers where you can jump off a top rope?
This is a standard. The class was in a trailer with desks.
Oh, the demountables. Yes,
yes. And this dude, he did not want to teach us anything, and we all thanked him for it. I also joined all of the fucking dipshit classes because I had very good grades at the previous school, and then I got very anti-establishment, so I just ruined everything. And
these trailers are bullshit, man.
Yeah. And then I went to this school, and so we're in his class, and we would just watch baseball. And that was the only thing he'd let us watch. This was music appreciation class. I got a B in this class, by the way. We watched baseball.
B is for baseball.
Yeah, we watched baseball.
Everyone gets a B.
We're
all watching baseball.
But I think he just couldn't give everyone an A, so he just gave me a B. Like, it was one of those.
So they wouldn't seem suspicious.
Exactly.
Right.
So that means he looked at the class. And then he like sort of went down and was like, all right, well.
This guy owes me a Domino's.
Yeah.
Oh, I won like 4 Little Caesars pizzas off this guy.
Yeah.
Ducks were Stanley Cup champions in 07.
This is a real if you're cool with it, I'm cool with it kind of thing. Like let's not fuck up a good thing.
I
here.
couldn't believe he never sold me drugs, but so we're flipping to the baseball channel and we see Jerry Springer and everyone in the class. Like there were 12 of us who just watched baseball, and the rest of us would fucking try to fuck each other. So I'm in the watching baseball crew. We passed through Jerry Springer, and all 12 of us, it's Jerry. And except for me, I don't know what the fuck we're watching.
Yeah.
And so we flip. They flip back to Jerry Springer, and the teacher's like, "No, this is the line. I can't show you guys."
So wait, the scummy uncle of a teacher,
Yeah,
drew the line. You could gamble.
Yeah, he's asking the students for condoms also.
Yeah. Hey, did you ever?
Come on, we're all cool. We're all hanging out.
I'm Mr. Hanson, and I need a condom.
Safe sex, kids. Write it down. You get a B, and you get a B.
So one of the kids ended up being, I don't think he was on heroin yet, but he ended up doing a lot of heroin.
What grade was this again?
This was 8th grade.
Okay.
He was definitely this is the same kid who did cocaine off my school ID in sophomore remedial math.
Ooh.
And
You're a nice guy.
he had to really argue for it. He couldn't find his ID. I thought he was going to steal it or something. He was like, "No, I just need to borrow it." And then I finally gave it to him, and he grabs it. He just pulls out a line and starts chopping it up and snorts it. Bell rings. Everyone runs over and starts gumming the desk.
Whoa.
Let's get a little time and place here. When was this? Where was this?
This was in high school, sophomore year. This would have been 2009.
Okay, all right.
Cocaine appreciation class.
Yeah, no, and then he did the cocaine, ran out, and definitely shot up.
This is San Diego County?
This is Orange County.
Orange County, okay.
This is South Orange County.
Gotcha.
And so yeah, back to fucking coke heroin. I forget his name.
Coco McSmack.
Yeah.
He just goes, I'm gonna run for it. And I go, what? And I go, yeah. I go, I don't know what you're talking about. And he just decides to sprint out the door, and the teacher starts freaking out, and he follows him. And then immediately some other kid runs over, shuts the door, and locks him outside of it. He left his keys inside. So then and this is like halfway, there's still an hour left to count. So then we just watch Jerry Springer for the rest of, as he's slamming on the door, and he can't go get help because he's not allowed to leave the classroom.
Oh, no.
He'll get in trouble if he lets anyone know that he left the classroom. It's illegal for him to leave the classroom.
God.
So we just watch Jerry Springer, and look, you haven't really watched Jerry Springer until you've watched it while an angry teacher is begging for us to let him back into his own class.
Oh my God.
And so that was my introduction from to Jerry Springer.
Wow.
Yeah.
So that's late, man. Yeah, 2009.
No, this was 2007.
Oh, this is 07. Okay.
This is
Still
06,
late.
06, 07.
06, 07. Yeah, that's amazing. So you hadn't come across the show before this.
06, 07, I was like 13.
Yeah.
I was like 13 turning
Okay.
14.
Gotcha.
It was right around my birthday. I was just about to turn. Actually, no, I was 13. Fuck. This is not the important part. No one's sitting at home like, okay, this is the Jerry Springer podcast. What age was Tom?
Did you guys watch a lot of Jerry Springer?
Yeah. Well, so I think my introduction to it, I believe it would have had to have been between, definitely N64 times was happening because the Nintendo...
Late 90s?
Yeah, the Nintendo 64 and Jerry Springer inextricably linked in my mind because I think the place I was exposed to both was my neighbor had an N64. He had a big screen TV, one of those like 900-pound fuckers that if it falls on you, you're dead.
Yeah.
One of those TVs, and his parents didn't give a shit. So and he had like a little TV next to the big TV. Did you have any friends like that?
A big TV next to the little TV?
A video game TV and a TV in the same room.
Yeah, I vaguely remember. Yeah, like the little TV had like the Sega channel on it and shit.
Yeah, well, in this case, we had the N64 hooked to the little TV.
Yeah.
And then the big TV would just be on whatever was on during the day. And he was like a latchkey kid. So like his parents would just leave. And and that in my head where I was like, we would play Shadows of the Empire, Mario Kart, all that shit. And then just in the background is just like, my wife's boobs are too big. They're inexcusable.
But, by the way,
sir, they're too big. They're too big. Which is...
I still had Nintendo 64 at this point, so your theory adds up. I was
okay,
just behind the times in every compartment.
yeah. Orange County is like 10 years behind the times. Yeah.
It's actually not. My family is.
Oh, okay. Gotcha. Well, no, Orange County is and your family is. So you're 20 years, actually.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, there we go.
I just turned 7. Yeah. It's,
Happy birthday.
But yeah, what about you? When were you exposed to this program?
Oh, or like after school, they would have the reruns.
Yes.
Like like middle school.
There was
I was always personally I was more of a Maury guy. Like
oh well, Maury's the next every
yeah, Jerry's like the cigarette when you're 15, and then Maury's like full on coke addiction when you're 18. Well, the thing about Jerry Springer, like he comes across like his precious show is being ruined by these hoodlum guests.
Yes, well, Jerry's such a good straight man, which is
he has the whole like I can't believe you're not gonna. I mean, that's your child. Look at her face. But like,
why would you fuck your baby?
Yeah,
it just seems it was such like a calm demeanor.
I wish it was like actual crimes like that too, where it's like
there is at least one.
I mean, but like like it was like actual like Judge Judy mixed with Jerry Springer. Like,
yeah.
So you claim that your brother murdered your husband, like shit like that.
Spoiler alert, that's what he's doing now.
Oh.
So
that's what I liked about Maury's, because he seemed like a disappointed dad.
He would always pretend like he wanted to help people instead of like, I'm trying to exploit all your emotional and life problems.
Yeah.
Which it drove me nuts. That's actually why I stopped watching it, 3 years later, is because I was like, this guy, I don't think this guy really cares.
No, and it's like a Dr. Phil situation. Maury, I remember one time there was a girl and she had been on the show 9 times and hadn't figured out who the father of her baby was. Because she had been impregnated during a gangbang or
was this
something.
pre-DNA test? Oh, okay.
No,
This is Maury. Maury's all DNA tests at this point.
Yeah, see, that was the shit. That's what I liked. And I liked like the whole thing where like, they do like the moody, them walking down like a lonely street corner thing and being like, this kid ain't mine, Jerry, and I'm here to prove it. Or that was or for Maury, I guess.
They're sit in front of the brick wall.
Yeah. That grimace a little bit.
That was one of my favorite episodes that they did. I don't know, 70 times, but one of my favorite episodes is they had the like 5 dudes and they were going to figure out which one the dad was. And I was just screaming, calling her a whore for 30 minutes. Yeah. and she's just crying the whole time. And then they're all freaked out because they all think they're the dad. And then it turns out none of them were. Yeah. And it's just like.
Yeah. I was going to say with Maury, Jerry is Buster Scruggs, and Maury is that guy from the Avett Brothers. There's always somebody coming for you, the next gunfighter. He stepped right into that spot.
Yeah, I was about to say who and who.
Oh, the Buster Scruggs movie. There, it's okay.
I've actually never watched Maury.
Have you never? It's so Maury. Very similar to how Jerry Springer's thing, and we'll talk about this, became the fights. It was people tuned in to watch.
Enough so to where like the head bouncer guy got his own show.
Oh yeah. Oh, believe me, we're getting there.
Sorry, I don't mean to.
No, it's fine. It's fine. But very much how Jerry was all about the fights. And that kind of became the groove that he locked into. Maury, his things are now, there's like 3 Maury shows. There's Uncontrollable Teens, and he usually sends them to boot camp. He has the lie detector test, where he'll go, did you ever cheat on your man? You said no. The lie detector determined that was a lie over 19 times. And then he'll just keep going.
That was a lie. But he'd like sit down and like.
But it's always weird that he goes, that was a lie over 19 times. You're like, well, how did you get that number? But he just moves the fuck on. How do you quantify this?
You claim to be a millionaire bajillionaire. That's a lie.
Then the third show is the famous one, which is the DNA test, where they try to determine the paternity of a child. So that's sort of Maury's gimmick, whereas Springer was all about the fights. He was all about the fights, and then broken up with celebrity meet and greets. Where a lot of times he would have, and we've talked about this on the show before, when he was the Intercontinental Champion, Razor Ramon, Scott Hall, came on the show to grant a child a wish.
I just want to say, and I want Tyler and Idea to know this, and I think they already do know this, that where I come from, it ain't how many times you go down, it's how many times you get up. You ain't beat till you quit. So if you don't quit, you never lose. I will. Keep fighting.
Okay, we're going to be back. There's more of Razor Ramon and Idea and Tyler. 3 champs.
Jerry Springer would like presage the Make-A-Wish Foundation in a way. There was a kid who
Which really good for the Make-A-Wish Foundation for aligning themselves.
Well, no, I think they just
fucking
stole the idea.
Oh, they weren't actually involved.
They're like, look how happy this child is. Let's do that. Let's just be good Springer.
Yeah. Wait. So they didn't align themselves with the show. They just
No. It's now a thing where a lot of the Make-A-Wish WWE is very heavily involved with Make-A-Wish.
Okay.
So, but before that, they sent Scott Hall to the Jerry Springer show to like make a kid happy.
Gotcha. I thought that they were going to bring in I don't know why I thought there a bunch of kids coming. They got to duke it out Jerry Springer style, and the winner of the Dying Children gets his wish completed.
Believe me, we'll get there. We'll get there eventually.
Yeah.
The way America is headed, we're gonna get there eventually.
Children death match. Preschool death match.
It's gonna happen.
I tell you.
but yeah. So let's get into because we're doing a full profile of the man. Let's get into the life of Jerry Springer, because as I started reading, I was thinking we could just talk about the show, and then I started reading about the guy, and I'm like, this guy he's an interesting guy, and has a real crazy backstory that you would never think would lead to little people strippers fighting Ku Klux Klan members. That's not where you think this is going.
I really do think he's either incredibly nice off the show or the biggest piece of shit that's ever lived.
He's probably nice. I figure he's humble or something.
Oh, definitely.
I mean, you should be humble. You don't do anything.
Exactly.
You introduce dipshits to punch each other. That's like a boxing commentator being bragging. It's like you just said the name.
Well, so famously in Jumpin' Jack Flash, Mick Jagger sings, "I was born in a crossfire hurricane," and that is very much the way you can describe Jerry Springer's birth. He was born in a bomb shelter in the Highgate Underground in London, England in 1944.
Oh, shit.
He's British?
He was originally born in England. His parents escaped from Nazi Germany back in 1939. This is the crazy. So he went on this UK show called Who Do You Think You Are, where they basically, find your entire ancestry and tell you about who your family was. And basically his parents, Richard and Margot Springer, were Jewish refugees who escaped Landsberg an der Warthe, Germany on August 7th, 1939. And for perspective, World War II started September 1st, 1939.
This begs the question, how old is Jerry Springer now?
Jerry Springer is 75.
That's insane.
And what's really crazy is they found out that his parents were the 89th and 90th last visas granted in England before the war started. So only 88 more people were let into England before the start of the war, besides his parents.
They got out 5 minutes. If they were 5 minutes later, it would have gotten fucking declined.
Literally, and the rest of his family was wiped out.
Wow.
Yeah, everyone else except for him and his sister and his mom and dad, but all grandparents, aunts, uncles, everybody.
See,
gone.
now I'm imagining them doing a Jerry Springer while running from the Nazis, and it's
right. This story
turns out your dad's Hitler.
Or at least all that show, it's it turns out your father did escape the Holocaust.
Well, what I'm thinking is, I'm sort of playing with this sort of grand theory, and I talked about this during the Adam Newman episode, where as time moves on, everything, whatever you had strong feelings about, starts to flatten out. And my example was, if you're in your 30s right now, Britney Spears and Korn are basically the same thing. You know what I mean?
Sure.
You might have had feelings about it very strongly when you were 12 or 13, but at this point, it's so far in the past that it's whatever. And I think at the time, there were people, when Jerry Springer's show was hitting its height, that people were saying, this is the downfall of Western civilization.
Yeah.
I was embarrassed to watch it.
It was embarrassing.
I was embarrassed, especially because my dad's smart and my mom's educated and shit. She teaches shit to people.
Yeah.
And so I was embarrassed that they catch me watching this fucking show.
It's a cultural train wreck.
Yeah.
Oh, and I knew it was too, but it was also I gotta see if they chuck the midget. I want to know what happens.
Yeah.
It's a car wreck. You can't not look at it,
Yeah.
especially when it's on all the fucking time.
Right.
And it really was.
Well,
What are these Klansmen's day jobs?
Well, so what I'm thinking, though, is this guy's story is so interesting that at this point, Jerry Springer, when faced with the modern horror that is the American cultural and political landscape, Jerry Springer seems pretty tame,
I know.
Like, this is just a talk show that was funny.
If Trump was poor, he would have been on that show.
Oh yeah, for sure. Well, Springer was on The Apprentice.
It was just an extension of sideshows.
Totally.
I mean, it's all that it
It's some
seems
carny
like.
shit,
Yeah, it's just carny shit. It's like there's always a place for sideshow carny shit, and that was the
Right.
outlet for it in that time. The
But
90s.
this dude's story is so interesting. I'm like, they could make a movie right now, no problem, and this would be a fascinating topic. Yeah,
they did called Ringmaster.
Oh, and by the way, if you want to listen to us talk about Ringmaster, patreon.com/thegoodsquad. You can check it out on Thursday.
What's Ringmaster?
Oh, that's the movie Jerry Springer made in 1998. We're going to talk about it.
Okay.
It's like his private parts, his very not semi-fictionalized biopic.
Yeah.
He didn't make he wasn't making like a dramatic Academy Award fishing movie about this. Nothing would be funnier.
This was a blind cash grab. Absolutely.
Yeah. Than a dramatic hallway scene with Jerry Springer as he walks.
Yeah. The Chariots of Fire. Bum, 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 bum. So when he was 5, Jerry Springer and his parents immigrated to the United States, settling in Kew Gardens, Queens, in New York. His father prospered making and selling stuffed animals, and his mother worked as a bank clerk. On his first day of school, Springer recalls his mother dressing him in blue velveteen shorts, a bow tie, and a beret.
I also I love
you.
So he got beat up.
He got the shit kicked out of him immediately.
Steve wasn't there to break that shit up.
I love
Welcome to America, bitch.
I love hearing old jobs. Stuffed animal dealer is what you said. That was a profession.
Yeah, my daddy made teddy bears.
Yeah.
My father made his bones on stuffed teddy bears.
Springer recalls gaining an interest in politics at age 12, watching the 1956 Democratic National Convention on television, where he saw and was inspired by Massachusetts Senator John F. Kennedy. Springer attended Forest Hills High School in Queens, which is the alma mater of the Ramones, Simon and Garfunkel, Leslie West from Mountain, and Spider-Man.
The fictional character?
The fictional character went to Forest Hills. Springer made his way down to New Orleans after graduating, where he attended Tulane University, graduated in 1965 with a BA in political science. By the time he graduated, he'd become a full-fledged member of the civil rights and anti-war generation, participating in protests.
He was a hippie?
He was like a leftist, like a militant. Like,
wow.
He was like marching in rallies and fucking burning draft cards and all that shit. He was a big anti-war guy.
They don't advertise that to the rednecks.
I'm telling you. Yeah. Well, it's part of the funny.
You did what?
Yeah, his dirty little secret, his humanist past.
They're judging them as they're fucking each other's siblings.
Yeah, they probably never knew he was a Jew either.
Yeah. I'll fuck my wife's sister daughter, but I don't believe in no draft daughter.
So he's a big lefty. 3 years later, he earned his law degree from Northwestern University in Chicago. And after
It's disappointing he's so smart.
Oh yeah.
Oh, you have to be. You have to. I 100%. I've never thought he was dumb.
No,
it's a smart move to bring in stupid people to be entertaining. He set up a show where he really doesn't have to do anything,
and
and they chant his name as he goes up to do nothing. He doesn't select the people. That's the other people's job. He doesn't stop the fights. He just walks out and goes, I heard you fucking,
in many ways.
You had sex with a woman that you found out was a man, and they cut to the man. It's just a giant dick. It's just like, but he doesn't do anything.
Yeah, well,
you have to be smart to be exploitive.
In many ways, he's the ringmaster.
I haven't seen the film, so I don't get this reference. Once again, I'm behind the times.
So in a circus, there's all the crazy
right.
shit,
Yeah.
and then there's the guy who just stands in the middle and lords over the performance. The ringmaster is the showman, but he's not really doing much.
The most he has to do is just act upset by the proceedings, like act like we don't come on now.
No, he doesn't.
He barely does that.
You're right. That's part of his charm is that he does just keep it together, just in the face of madness.
And you need someone to stay calm.
Yeah.
If everyone's freaking out, then it just you can't track it.
Yeah.
But in chaos, people are attracted to the still.
Yeah, he's the lighthouse in the storm.
The most work he does is, I think he holds note cards sometimes.
He does, yeah.
He doesn't even read it. He's holding them.
He sometimes puts them on his head.
Right.
When he's
dismay,
just overwhelmed. So yeah, he gets a law degree, and after law school, Springer became a trusted political campaign advisor to the presidential campaign of RFK, Robert F. Kennedy. So
really,
he loved John Kennedy as a child, and now he's working for his brother RFK, and obviously that didn't work out so well. After RFK's assassination, Springer moved to Cincinnati and practiced law, eventually forming a partnership with former NBA agent Ronnie Grinker and current Butler County, Ohio magistrate Harry Sudman in the law firm of Grinker, Sudman, and Springer. So that's what brings him to Cincinnati. So he's working for RFK, presumably in New York, and then after RFK gets shot, moves over to Cincinnati. All right. So in 1969, he became active in a local referendum seeking to lower the voting age in Ohio to 19, and the referendum failed. But Springer's speechmaking impressed area Democrats, and at 25, he ran for Congress. Quote, "I was pissed off about the war." So that's like he runs for Congress, and this is
when he got that quote, he was like fucking like taking silly string and like stripper panties off of his like hair and shit. He's like, "I was pissed off about the war. I used to believe in things." He's like fucking. Also, what is he doing? He hasn't been doing shit for like 20 years. Like Jerry Springer, I was sure he was dead when you said that we were doing a thing about Jerry Springer. I was like, he's fucking dead.
I got coffee in my nose just then. Yeah, Vietnam is really like a crazy thing.
Oh, people's human rights were being exploited. He's like fucking. He's taking a pie off his dick or something.
There's just a dick helicoptering in the background.
There's a little person on a unicycle going by, like fucking shooting silly string on like a two-headed baby that's
huge breast implants.
Yeah. Oh, and America was at war. What the fuck are you talking about, Jerry Springer?
So he says he's going to run for Congress, and curiously, 3 days after his announcement, Springer, who, as part of the draft, you have to be an Army reservist, was called to active duty and sent to Fort Knox, Kentucky. And it was likely just a coincidence that his opponent, 5-term incumbent Representative Don Clancy, sat on the House Armed Services Committee.
Oh, hilarious.
So the guy he's running against is like, "Oh yeah, fuck you, kid," and sends him to Kentucky.
Hilarious. I love that that's the best he could do. He didn't send him into any real danger.
Yeah.
Well, you said active in Kentucky. I'm like, how active is that really?
Yeah, how active is anyone in Kentucky?
Well, it's Fort Knox. It's Fort Knox. So you're just Smaug at that point. You're just guarding the gold.
Smaug.
What is Smaug?
Smaug from
Smog.
Or Smog.
Yeah,
I've never read
I like
it.
how you pronounce it. Yeah.
Smaug.
The desolation of Smaug.
The Christopher Walken is a Smaug.
Is his name not Smaug?
The dragon, his name was Smaug.
I would pay money
wild.
to listen to the book on tape of Christopher Walken narrating Lord of the Rings. That would be the funniest
Keep
fucking
it
thing.
sacred. Keep it safe.
Thou shalt not pass.
Fly, you fools. It's the Balrog.
I'm not going to stop this. Keep going.
What? Oh, feed me a line from goddamn Lord of the Rings.
I've never...
One ring.
One ring for all of them.
You do it better than me. I keep your accents.
One ring, and in the darkness, bind them.
I was at a open mic several years ago, and a guy started doing a Christopher Walken impression, and it's like it got the same reaction because it was an open mic of all comics. It got the same reaction that if someone humped a stool would get, because we're all like irony poisoned idiots, and like everybody he started doing it, and we were like, yes, and he just like stood up and started clapping because we couldn't believe someone was doing it.
Yeah,
and then he was like, "Oh, you liked that," and he went into a De Niro, and everybody's like, "Yes, yeah!" Like it was just building, and then somebody
like every cliche,
and then somebody yelled out, "Make them have sex!" And he and then transcended the hackiness into a level of like an actual great bit of Robert De Niro and Christopher Walken fucking each other. That was unbelievable. I loved it.
It's crazy. Wow.
Me and Carter saw Stool Humper recently.
We did.
Oh,
he was wearing a cowboy hat. And was it like a fishnet shirt or something?
No, it was a vest.
Vest.
A fishnet vest or just a vest?
It was
Just
a
a
vest.
vest.
Yeah.
Undershirt? No undershirt.
No, he had an undershirt.
Yeah,
okay.
shirt.
What? Yeah, one time at a mic, this was years ago. Someone humped a stool, and this is like his first time. So I humped the stool, but I did it slowly, and I did it while doing all like just jokes and just not just not acknowledging what I was doing. And it weirdly bombed. I thought it was really funny to just. Yeah.
That's commitment, man.
I didn't hump. I made love to that stool while talking. I think I'm talking. You know what the problem is? My material made it just too confusing. I think I was talking about jerking off a whale or something like that. So I think people didn't get the joke because of my material.
Occasionally spanking the stool.
Upon his discharge from the Army 4 months later, Springer resumed his bid for Clancy's seat, and he lost to him, but only by like a very slim margin. A year later, he won a seat on the Cincinnati City Council. He was only 27. He quickly became a popular, outspoken lefty leader. One of his first actions as a city councilman was to propose a ban on drafting Cincinnati residents to the Vietnam War.
That rules.
That's so cool. Yeah,
that rules.
what a great
Why
thing.
is Jerry Springer more successful in punk rock than me at 27?
Yeah.
He joined the establishment to tear it down.
Yeah.
That fucking goddamn it.
And then made like one of the most gleefully anarchistic shows.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, not before this little incident. So, on Monday, April 29th, 1974, a popular political columnist, Frank Weichel, reported on the Cincinnati Enquirer's front page that, quote, a Cincinnati Politico is involved in a 2-state FBI vice probe. Springer went unnamed, but prostitution was mentioned. Later that same day, quote, in an abrupt move that shook Cincinnati's political community, Jerry Springer resigned.
Oh, no.
The Enquirer referred to the then councilman as, they were still calling him Gerald by the time. So Gerald Springer resigned. The 30-year-old had just married Mickey Velton a year earlier. In his resignation, he cited, quote, very personal family considerations, but did not mention the FBI probe. The next day, however, he held a news conference alluding to prostitution investigation at a health club across the river in Kentucky. In the video, Springer appears red-eyed and shaken. Quote, when I resigned yesterday, I did so because I believed then, as I believe now, that there are some problems which are better faced as a private citizen.
These are the complete facts in this matter, facts which I can only hope the public will understand. It is my fondest wish to re-enter public life, but I believe it in the best interest of this community that I resign until such time that the air has been cleared.
Springer went on to voluntarily testify in court in Kentucky. He said his conscience drove him to contact the FBI after he paid for prostitutes. So he narked on himself, which I think really somebody just called him and was like, hey, you're kind of fucked because of this little factoid. The episode was uncovered when a police raid on Fort Wright, Kentucky massage parlor found a bad check from Springer that the parlor had pinned to an office wall with, quote, services rendered written in the memo.
You don't pay a hooker with a check.
So he wrote a personal check to a sex worker, and they were like, it bounced. That might be the worst part, is that the check bounced and they tacked it on the wall being like, never again, not this guy.
Yeah. Wait a week to cash that.
And the FBI kicked their door in and was like, oh, City Councilman Gerald Springer.
Yeah. Jesus.
Boy.
Taken down by the world's oldest profession.
I mean, truthfully. But this is why this guy's a badass. So he resigns because he's like, you know what? I have to concentrate on this. The investigation goes through. He testifies. Slap on the wrist, nothing. And 1 year after resigning, Springer made an insane comeback, winning back his seat on the council. So he resigned, did the right thing, and then came back. Was like, and I'm going to win this again, fair and square.
This is all like in preparation of his KKK members flinging poop.
Yeah. Oh yeah. It's great because we all know where this is going. Yeah. In 1976, Jerry and Mickey welcomed their only child, Katie, and he remained on the city council until 1977 when he became the mayor of Cincinnati.
Oh, fuck.
In those years, it was the council rather than the popular vote that determined who the mayor would be. And in 1977, the council selected Springer for a one-year term. During his term as mayor, Springer was a beloved figure around town, the smart young thing of Ohio politics, one magazine called him, and
the sexy little thing of Ohio politics.
Yeah. And this is where the broadcasting starts. So the album-oriented rock station WEBN featured commentaries by Springer under the banner, quote, The Springer Memorandum. The popularity of these commentaries launched his broadcasting career. During his time as mayor, Springer supported changing the local election system so the council members would be elected by districts, thus better representing neighborhood interests. And one of our questions we got, because
he turned it basically to like the electoral college for the city.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. So basically, Cincinnati has this really weird system. I was trying to figure out. I never quite wrapped my head around it, but basically they have this very undemocratic sort of system for choosing blocks in districts and stuff like that, as opposed to just a straight popular vote.
All the cities in Ohio are fucked up.
It's crazy.
I've done some reading, and it's the whole thing. And this is like back in the day, but even like it all seems like just a fucking nightmare.
Yeah, yeah, it's really weird. Like I said, I only was researching this part of the story this morning, and I was really trying to wrap my head around it. And I was like, there's not enough coffee in the world for me to be able to understand Ohio's electoral system right now.
There's not enough time machines for the finish college to figure out what the fuck they're talking.
right.
Or I don't know if you did college.
I did do some college, but
then I was speaking about me.
But yeah, no, we actually put it out before we started recording this to everybody in the Goods Pod Studiverse. I told everybody what we were talking about, and our friend at @Ben_Adam says
a lot of underscores.
Your thoughts on Jerry's political career as mayor of Cincinnati, and he only served one term, and like there is so little information about it as far as I could tell. So I wanted there to be more, but that was kind of what I found. Was he wanted to sort of change the district laws, and he had a radio show, and that was kind of his time.
I mean, I still think he could run. I think he could run today. He's never really said anything wrong.
Nope. No.
Once again, he had a very edgy, fucking nightmarish show where he did nothing wrong.
Yeah.
Not only did he do nothing wrong, so there was the thing in 2014, they had a show where the title used the word tranny, and an LGBT group said like, oh, this is offensive, and he stopped using the word immediately and issued an apology. He was like, I legitimately didn't know that this was offensive. I never wanted to offend anybody with the show. When was this? 2014.
Okay.
Yeah. So, and he used it and issued it, like, just straight up apologized for it and never used it again.
The more you say, he's kind of like
he's great.
He's
like,
insanely woke.
Yeah.
He's a 70. He's like George Carlin for chaos. Yeah. He's just he's white trash George Carlin.
Kind of. I mean, he could be our Trump. He could really be our Trump.
That is kind of my manifesto today. Actually, I think. Honestly, why not at this point?
Yeah, well, what's hilarious is I think most liberal people I think hate him because they don't know all this, and then he's mostly beloved by the
exact people that
by MAGA people
that left people need to reach.
Yeah,
not even MAGA people, just idiots that don't vote. Like at one point, like one of these,
I'm right here, man.
one of these shitheads that host that like Slate political gab fest wrote contemporaneously in like 1997 about Jerry Springer, where he referred to his like audience as like the lumpen proletariat or something. Like he's kind of right. But anyway, to answer the question that we got over Twitter about his political career as mayor of Cincinnati, I didn't find that much. But anyway, he gets done with his term as mayor, and this is when he does a hard ass turn into broadcasting. So I think he just did the radio show for shits and giggles while he was the mayor. Decides he really likes it. As soon as he's done with mayor, Springer is quickly hired as the political reporter and commentator on Cincinnati's NBC affiliate, WLWT, which had at the time the lowest rated news program on the air. And it was around this time that Springer, with the help of some others at WLWT, created his signature sign-off line.
We'll be back tonight at 11. Until then, take care of yourself and each other. Good night.
Good night.
Take care of yourselves. And each other.
Yeah.
He still ends the show with that.
Take care of yourselves and each other. Wait, is the show still on the air?
So the show ended last year.
Really?
And
Yeah.
he now has a show where it's called Judge Jerry, where he's a courtroom judge like Judge Judy.
No shit.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So within 2 years, he was Cincinnati's #1 news anchor, garnering 10 local Emmys for his nightly commentary. So he's got 10 local Emmys, but those are the last times.
What is local Emmy?
So each state, their television broadcasting, they have local Emmys that they give out. So there's the Emmys for national television, that would be for your Game of Thrones, Breaking Bad,
organization,
shit
though?
like that. I believe so. Yeah.
Wow.
Because each state has their own. Like in Alabama, it's in the Alabama Broadcasters Association.
Okay.
And they have a thing called the Abby Awards, where they hand out the local Emmys for Alabama, and I think every state has that. So he's got a lot of local awards in Cincinnati.
Yeah.
But that's the last time Gold will touch those fingers as far as awards go, because the guy has done thousands of hours of television, maybe in the running for the most TV time of anybody.
Probably, yeah.
No fucking Emmys. Nothing. Come on. What's wrong with you? Lifetime achievement. I'm calling for it.
Oh, I'm sorry. This isn't ER. Oh, I'm sorry.
In September 1991, Cincinnati NBC affiliate WLWT needed to replace the Phil Donahue show, so they tapped Springer to host his own politically focused daytime talk show.
This is how it started.
The Jerry Springer Show.
What?
This is how it fucking starts, dude.
What?
At the same time, he was also appearing as the nighttime co-anchor on WLWT. In 1992, Springer moved the Jerry Springer Show to Chicago, and he flew back and forth between Cincinnati and Chicago every day so that he could continue hosting the nightly news. But in 1993, he resigned from Channel 5 to commit full-time to the Jerry Springer Show. So it started off as a politically oriented show, a longer version of Springer's commentaries. Guests in the early days included Oliver North.
You knew when you were talking with the Iranians about getting the hostages back that is exactly what the President of the United States had said on television. We will not deal with the terrorists. He was telling other countries, please don't deal with the Iranians, don't deal with the terrorists.
Yeah, and even to this day, in his own memoirs, President Reagan says, we really didn't trade arms for hostages because we were dealing with the Iranians, and the Iranians weren't the captors. Now, it's a distinction without a difference as far as I'm concerned.
What?
Respectable program.
Oliver North was a... Wow.
Right.
He kind of reversed Oprah'd.
Oh, yeah. He definitely reversed Oprah, because Oprah started off, as Bill Burr famously said.
Didn't she, for the first 5 years, have like midgets who wanted to bang their mailman's boyfriend? And she didn't want to do it. She didn't want to do it, but she didn't have the power to say no, so she wrote it out. And then when she could make a good decision, she did a show. But she stood on the heads of those little people for 5 years until she got... And then she's sitting there across from this guy like, so how could you? You know exactly what he's doing. It's the stupidest thing I've ever seen.
And Jerry Springer started off
talking about the Iran-Contra.
Yeah, literally. Topics included homelessness and gun politics.
That really shows you how much you got to sell out to keep a show.
Yeah.
It started out as a politics show.
So it ran
with just the purest of intentions.
Nobody cares about that. That's why Trump's president.
Yeah.
He told people to shut up at rallies.
Crippled.
That's what they are. Just call them it.
That show starts in 1991. By 1994, so basically, like, it starts as a political show, very, very much like all of cable news is now, where the best ratings they got were when they got diametrically opposed people to scream at each other.
Yeah.
And they realized that, like, we can juice ratings by getting more conflict.
Right. And then they removed that law that there used to be a law that told the news you can't lie.
Yeah. Yeah.
The news can't lie.
Yeah.
And now that's been gone for quite a while.
Fairness
now.
doctrine is what they used to call that. Yeah. Rush Limbaugh used
to. That's even a different thing.
Oh, is that different than the that
or
was
maybe
where,
it was
that was equal time. I
that
think
was there was just like there was a journalist who worked for some news broadcasting thing in Florida. And they kept taking their information and then changing it.
Yeah.
And so they sued them. They're like, we're doing this research for you, and you're not giving the actual research. And they didn't know what to do, so they sued them. And they lost the case because there's technically no law keeping the news from lying to the public.
Good.
So they didn't do anything
Great.
wrong.
We're not fucked at all here.
I probably fucked up some detail to that, but that's the general sum that I'm sure I'm still butchered.
If that isn't true, I'll be fucking shocked.
Right. Yeah.
If the overall details of that are incorrect, color me surprised. So in 1994, Springer and his new producer, Richard Dominic, revamped the show's format in order to garner higher ratings. The show became more successful and it became targeted toward tabloidish sensationalism. Guests were everyday people confronted on television stage by a spouse or a family member's adultery, homosexuality, prostitution, transvestitism, hate group membership, or other controversial situations. These confrontations were often promoted by scripted shouting or violence on stage. The show received a substantial ratings boost and much attention with episodes like, quote, "My boyfriend turned out to be a girl," "Which are sexier, bigger or smaller boobs on women," and my personal favorite from this era, this one they've apparently never re-aired, "I Married a Horse." We'll put this on our Twitter. We're at The Goods Pod. This is a bit of the episode, "I Married a Horse."
I've talked to several psychologists. I have one on the advisory board of the support organization that...
There's a support organization for what you do?
There's a support organization for contact. The zoophile lifestyle can be rather lonely. Your best friend Bob may be boffing the beef, as you'd never know it unless he told you. So to find another one of your peer group to talk to and that somebody understands and can relate to it is difficult.
How many people do you think do what you do?
Probably more than people let on, I would assume.
Right.
How many are in this group, this organization?
It's not a membership organization. It's just set up for contact. But I've had well over 200 inquiries by direct mail. I know there are over 1,000 or so on the internet in various places.
These are horse fuckers.
I have a lot of questions.
All the people
what questions could you possibly have?
All the people on the stage are wearing dark sunglasses.
Yeah.
Is it? Well, that was my first question. Is it blind people for for bestiality?
I think it's to kind of obscure the face a little bit.
Well, then why did he say what's their crew? He said your best friend could be boofing. Your best friend Bob could be boofing right next to
Boffing a
you.
beef. Yeah.
Right.
Your best friend Bob may be boffing the beef, as you'd never know it unless he told you.
Is he? I think they're all blind.
Yeah, I mean, I think
is that the dog on stage? Was that a seeing-eyed dog or a girlfriend?
I think it's a girlfriend. I'm not.
Or is it both? Is it
or boyfriend?
This is why I'm against emotional support animals. You don't know. It's a slippery slope.
They could be boffing each other's beef.
Boffing the beef.
You ever seen that episode of Vice where they go to like this island where everyone's fucking mules? Apparently, it's terrible. This guy's got this like V-neck shirt on, and he's like, "The parties here are crazy. The women's so hot, but this place holds a dark secret." And then like they just goes to these farmers, and they're like, "Yes, we fuck the mules. They are tight." They say all this crazy shit.
All right, guys, I have to leave. I have therapy on Skype right now, and I gotta go.
Oh shit!
Yeah.
Okay.
I feel like I haven't said a lot on this episode. I'd just like to point that out before I leave. I'm gonna go get not crazy anymore.
Okay.
Yeah.
I hope it works out.
Hell yeah. Mazel tov. God bless.
See you, dude.
Yeah, good to see you, Sam.
Yeah.
Oh, all right.
Sam will return. So I've got pulled up here just a few of the show titles. These are from the years of 1997. Black supremacist versus white supremacist. Male Siamese twins. Big busted strippers.
I love the fact they added male, like they're Siamese twins through the dick. Any point of relevance at like if you ever said they're Siamese twins, you're like, what gender? Like that's the part that matters.
They're pissing in each other's stomachs all the
time. There's one here. I'm a breeder for the Klan.
What?
I don't know. And then
for more clans people,
I suppose. And then my favorite one from 21st November 1997. I refuse to wear clothes.
I refuse
to wear clothes.
This person certainly did not show up to Jerry Springer wearing clothes.
No, of course not. No.
This would defeat the purpose of this ailment.
You think we should have a society where everyone walked around naked?
Why not? I think there'd be less crime in the world. Everyone be open. Come on now. Please.
Be a lot more open society.
If everyone was more open about their bodies and what,
Mom, what do you want to say to Amanda?
my God. It's unbelievable. I thought I was dealing with one. Now I've got two.
In 1994, the show also hired Steve Wilkos.
I don't know who that is.
He's the bodyguard guy who's like the lovable bodyguard who.
Yeah, a former Chicago cop and Marine. So he was hired for a 1994 KKK themed episode. Quote: "The pay was good, and I figured the pay was good, and I figured it was a one-time gig." Wilkos told Media Week, but I ended up doing another show and another show and another show, and before I knew it, I was hired as the full-time director of security. So I left my career as a cop to give this a shot. Eventually, Wilkos gave advice on a quote Steve to the rescue segment and started subbing for Springer when he went off to appear on Dancing with the Stars. This led to Wilkos getting his own show, the Steve Wilkos Show, in 1997. So Jerry is not only a lefty badass, he's not only a good politician, he's also a fucking kingmaker. He turned his security guard into a star.
Yeah.
How cool is that?
That's insane.
I'm telling you, he's our Trump.
I'm telling you, he's lefty Trump.
You think he's still left, though?
That's a good question.
Oh yes, very much so.
Really?
Oh,
Really?
yeah. We're going to talk about his late life as a political commentator, because he's just a guy, you just get him on TV and he can go. He knows his shit. He keeps up with the news. He's got pretty much good positions, as best I can tell, on everything.
What sucks is like, and I'm an idiot. I'm not saying I'm better than him, but if I was a conservative and I was listening to liberals make points, to go, all right, to articulately make this point for us, we want to bring in Jerry Springer, I would start laughing at them. Even just because I just found out he was a politician at one point, I would think it was hysterical, and completely write it off.
Well, is that not Trump though?
It is
almost down to the letter of what you just said is exactly how people viewed Trump when he came in, of just being like, oh yeah, this like trashy guy from the 90s.
Right, but we're like Trump worked because he appealed to the lowest common denominator, and the liberals failed because we pander to the other people. I don't think saying they're smarter feels like a stretch, because they're dumb people on both sides, but like
sure
we don't pander to the lowest common denominator there, if that makes sense.
I mean
we do. I don't know. I don't want to start talking about politics.
Yeah, no, I don't either. I just
I did not expect the Jerry Springer episode to devolve into political commentary.
Yeah, neither did I.
Yeah, I would only say that the failing of the left was not reaching out to working class people, essentially, and that sometimes is going to include the types of people that would end up on this show.
I agree. I guess you would be getting that, but you would be losing all the fucking snooty, pretentious people that are liberals.
Them.
Yeah,
we're done with them.
I mean, fuck them. Honestly, fuck everybody. That's my new political stance. Fuck all of you guys.
Yeah. fuck all. As we say in the South, fuck all y'all. Was that your joke back in the day?
Fuck all y'all?
Where you had a fuck all. It was either you or Socher had a joke when you used to do the Bellwether show in Alabama. We're talking 10 years ago.
Yeah.
Where you broke down what fuck all y'all actually means. It's like fuck all of you all.
Fuck all of you all.
Fuck all of you all.
Yeah, maybe it sounds a little familiar.
It's either you or Socher. I got the tapes. I'll go back and listen.
I'll go ahead and claim it.
But anyway,
no, I'm gonna claim it.
We can all claim it. And if it's not any of us, at Socher, SOSURE on Twitter. That's who it was, Kevin Socher. Anyway, so point is, he's a kingmaker. He made Wilkos.
Yeah.
You never seen the Steve Wilkos show? He's a big bald. I mean, he looks like.
I know who you're talking about, but I didn't see his show. So I know the Bodyguard though.
Yeah, the Bodyguard. Yeah, so he now he has his own.
What
show.
was his spin on the show? It was just like more fights.
No, so weirdly, Wilkos.
It's just him beating the shit out of a minority for 30 minutes.
I gotta say,
the pay was good, and I like doing it.
He went for his phone.
He went for his phone.
To their credit, Steve's show was all about, because he's this like giant, jacked up, muscle bound cop,
Yeah,
but he's a sweetheart though.
Bingo. That was the angle they took with it.
Him's a sweetie.
Listen, I'm not the smartest guy in the world, okay? But I do have good intentions. And when I'm telling you, the other day I'm going through my Foot Locker, and I was going through all my pictures, and I was looking at pictures when I was 18 and I went to high school. And I can barely remember it, but I remember having a good time at my senior prom. You made it through high school. It's a big party. It's a big celebration. So if you go, the show is going to get you a limousine. It's going to get you a dress. We're going to pay for everything for you to go to prom and have a good time. Okay?
Okay, thank you, Steve.
Good luck to you. And I hope you stay away from Cody. I really do. Good luck to you.
I promise.
Okay, good luck to you.
Bye, Steve.
There's like the Incredible Hulk giving advice to people like,
oh, you see enough people splattered on the side of the road. You got to have a sense of humor about it.
I mean, obviously you guys care about each other, you know?
I mean, we're a family, sure. I'm not really nailing his Chicago accent.
Yeah, I guess it'd be more like this, yeah. Like,
Jesus Christ, he'd be more like this and shit, you know? It's fucking rotten, dude.
I wish I could do voices.
In 1997, Springer begins a temporary job on Chicago's WMAQ as a news commentator. Anchor Carol Mann, who had worked at the station for 19 years, refused to share airtime with Springer because of his other show and quit the news show. So his other show is huge.
Yeah.
And they're like, hey, this guy, we have a good working relationship with this guy. Let's bring him back to do commentary because he's a big star. People will like this for our local news show. And straight up, two of the anchors walked. They were like, that is how fucking serious Jerry Springer was taken in 1997. People were like, this guy
he's the Antichrist.
He is gonna fucking ruin my career if I'm in the same room with him.
Well, he also like revolutionized stupidity.
Yeah, in a way,
he
for sure.
really, or at least exploiting it. I mean, everything's different now with the current climate, but like I don't know, 10 years ago, if you saw, you know, I don't know, who's that NPR lady,
Lakshmi Singh.
Any one of them, if they did a news,
she's my favorite,
or Amy, I keep wanting to say Amy Schumer, Amy Goodman,
yeah,
if she did a segment with Steve-O on NPR, you would go, what the fuck is happening right now? Her stock would plummet.
Yeah, that's true.
Or maybe you'd see it as like an obvious like attempt to get like the shock and awe value that Trump got. Not to circle back to that.
Right. Well, you kind of can't help. That was the thing when I was researching this. I'm like, we're not going to be able to not talk about Trump with this because it's so inextricably linked with this time period, with this media. Like everything about it, everything that Jerry Springer was just leading up to our current moment, you know, and now it's the Springification of the world. You know, everything is Jerry Springer.
Right. Every like loud purveyor of trash is now like a prime presidential candidate.
The president's Twitter is the Jerry Springer show now.
Yeah.
Like, you're an idiot. Shut. Like, it's just him calling people out. You know what I mean? It's
I don't like your lack of hands.
Small hands.
Yeah. So, there were two anchors walked from the station. Dozens of people from religious and women's organizations protested the station's nighttime edition as well. The heat ended up being too much for the station, and in May 1998, they dropped Springer.
Replace him with Bill Cosby.
Now, why do you not like to wear clothes?
Keep going.
Bill Springer is a show.
Bill Springer.
Take care of yourselves and watch your drinks.
So, and this is where we start to accelerate the timeline because a very crucial thing happened. So they dropped the show, and in order to cover costs, the Springer show had to air not once but twice a day.
What?
Yeah,
it was on all the fucking time.
So by the end
5 or 7 days a week.
I think it's 5 days, Monday through Friday. Mm-hmm. So that's 10 shows a week, which is insane. And by the end of 1998, Jerry Springer was regularly beating the Oprah Winfrey Show in many cities and was reaching 6.7 million viewers a day.
Wow.
That's got to sting a little bit.
That is what, like today, your average huge network show?
Like 13 people.
They're not scratching 6.7 million viewers a day. That's insane.
I can't wait for comedians to realize how worthless television is.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
I watched an NFL game on my fucking phone.
Yeah.
Through a Yahoo app. For free.
So the show's getting popular because of all these, like we said at the beginning, because of all the fights. You know what I mean? There's all these fights, and I always wondered watching it as a kid, like, who are these people? Why are they mad? How did they end up on this crazy TV show? And the truth behind it is fucking wild. Okay, so according to an assistant producer, the stories were mostly real, but they did sort of shady things to get them on the air. At the end of each episode, and I remember this, a phone number was put on the screen, and people were standing by to take the calls. So they would say, like, hey, is your girlfriend messing around on you with another guy or maybe another girl? You know, call us out.
Or a horse? Yeah.
Or a horse.
Right.
And they would have people...
Is your baby daddy a carrot? Call into the Jerry Springer.
And so a phone number was put up on the screen, and they had a whole like call center waiting to take these calls. And most of the time, people would call impulsively. And if the story sounded good, producers would fly them out the same day.
What?
Yeah. So
wow.
What that means is, and they'd give them a nice hotel, and they'd they'd get them ready for the camera the next day. So basically, people never had time for a second thought. They were just like, oh, fuck Bubba. If he ever comes back, I'm going to fucking kill him. And then the show comes on, and then they call, and they're like, hey, we'll put you on a plane tonight to Chicago. And they're like, all right, fuck that motherfucker. And they're like, well, we need him on the plane too. All right, I'll beat his ass. And then,
this is just the best I ever been treated. Y'all know how to treat people with real problems.
So
this is nice.
You guys ever think about how much domestic abuse happened because of this show?
Murder, actually.
Yeah.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, so this area right here, this is the moral gray area of Jerry Springer, is the exploitation.
Yeah,
right?
it's all fun and games.
It's all fun and games until a woman.
It's all fun and horse
Until a
fucking.
man, until a man kills his horse wife.
But yeah,
I gotta turn you into glue and use it to put my life back together.
She was boffing another horse's beef. She was boofing another horse's brief.
But yeah,
I'm blind.
I think they were blind.
Yeah, they were all blind. What if that was the big reveal? It's like, you've been fucking horses. Like they had no idea.
It's a weird clip. So we got a tweet from @SwimDMC. Quote, I know people who have acted in the show. I don't have footage, but I had a friend who was fat and a player.
He wasn't a player. He just crushed a lot.
My friend was a horse.
Here we go. Okay,
he was fat, but he was a player. He got mad chicks all throughout high school.
There was a typo here. My friend who was fat and played a gay stripper named Steve that a guest was telling his girlfriend that he was leaving her for. They played it up like he was going to be this hot chick until finally they revealed him as a fat guy. So that's like
it's a lie,
and there's a lot. Well, that's the thing. All right, so there's a lot
it's
of
a mix.
This is just a guy who listens to our show. All right, who sent this in. There's shit like this.
We
all
appreciate
over.
the contribution.
And thank you so much.
Yes.
Honestly, yeah. At SwimDMC, give him a follow. That's just somebody who listens to our show. There's thousands of these accounts on the internet being like, oh, I played this on Jerry Springer. I did this. But like, lest you think this shit is fake, in 2000, during an episode called Secret Mistresses Confronted, a husband and his new wife confronted his ex-wife, and they got into a tiff. The newlyweds accused the ex, Nancy Campbell Panitz, of stalking them. But hours after the episode aired, a friend of Campbell Panitz discovered her body inside her home. Eventually, the ex-husband and the wife turned themselves in, and in 2002, the case went to trial, and the court found the ex-husband guilty of second-degree murder, and he's currently serving a life sentence.
See, wow.
So there's a death count. There's an actual, I mean, it's one person, but that's a shitload for a TV show that's mostly fake.
You don't count very high, but yeah.
That's crazy.
Well, yeah, that's kind of what I presumed, and that's the way it is with reality television. Is like, it's not all fake. Yeah, they have actors, and yeah, but like, I bet it's, especially, I didn't know they did it twice a day. They're probably trying to get as much real meaty shit as possible.
Yeah.
And then they're filling it in with fucking, actors.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what I always assumed.
Yeah. That has to be what it is. There's a certain amount of people that they drop the money for the plane ticket to fly them in. Because you think about the production cost of a talk show is so astronomically low.
Where did they shoot?
Chicago.
Chicago
Okay, for years. In 2009, they moved to Stamford, Connecticut, and the people of Stanford had a giant protest.
Right. They go to like the graduating shows like Second City and stuff. Like, who wants to be on TV?
You know what? I hadn't even considered the improv element of Chicago, but you're goddamn right. I guarantee you.
Well, I also read a thing, because I did a little bit of reading too. I also read a thing that someone was talking about their friend was a producer, and they basically said, like, whoever came in with their story, if it was good, we put them on, but we never really questioned, we never verified how real their story was.
Why would you? Yeah.
And I would absolutely call in to create a fake story. Like,
Yeah, totally.
Like, look, I think I'm just irrelevant enough to fly in under the radar.
Sure.
Actually, I'm being too nice to myself. I'm definitely irrelevant enough to fly in under the radar and then put it as a TV credit.
Oh God, yeah. With the amount of like fake credit, your picture was featured in something. You're like, I'm a contributor to the Hard Times or some shit like that. It was just your picture on there. You can be like, I was on TV. I was on primetime TV.
I just wanted to read some more show titles from 1998.
Please.
Brawling Over Babes, Sexy Strippers Exposed, Lusty Affairs, Erotic Escorts Exposed.
This sounds like bad D-list porn.
Lusty and Busty.
Naughty Lovers Confronted.
Naughty.
She's sleeping with her sister.
Oh, for the love of Pete.
Okay, we're down to B porn.
Now it's porn.
Now I watched that last night.
But
Yeah,
that's great.
Yeah.
That's 98.
that video on Pornhub got me to sleep last night. That's
But what's crazy is that's 98. That presaged the whole all of porn is about siblings thing that's happening now.
I can't believe we're
Jerry Springer really revolutionized the incest craze in this country.
He saw it.
Honey, I'm fooling around. I want your
Honey,
woman.
I'm fooling around.
Rocky Relationships, Security Workout, which I assume is just the
That's
show,
the Steve episode.
The show starts and then everyone's just fighting for an hour.
That was always whenever they had the incest ones on Jerry Springer, they would be the most soft-spoken guests. They'd be like, I don't know, I just like it.
like it.
And that's when everyone would be screaming, fuck you and boo.
Those are the real freaks.
Oh, yeah.
I just like it. So these are some of my favorites here. The Kung Fu Hillbilly.
That dude for sure got his ass beat.
David, a self-identified hillbilly who has learned kung fu from watching action movies on his VCR. When it comes time to defend himself from his roommate, and his roommate, no relation to the rapper, is named Lil Wayne.
But that's not his real name either, now is it?
His karate chops don't prove
He got beat up by precursor Wayne.
Now look here. I've started me a ninja school. It's bona fide. It ain't like some counterfeit Judy chop shop or something like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I got something for everybody. You know what I mean? If you got little youngins, I've got classes for them. The FNA, the Future Ninjas of America.
Yeah.
Something for the older fellers. I got the SNA, Senior Ninjas of America.
What about that? Yeah.
All righty, now. I've also got a little thing we just started called the Pot Liquor Reformation classes, all righty?
What's a pot liquor?
Well, a pot liquor, buddy, that's just any low-down slanderizing feller what wants to talk bad about maybe the Jerry Springer show or say something negative about Chuck and Norris. That's a dadgum pot liquor, you know what I mean?
There is a mother-daughter domination. Yeah, so a mother-daughter dominatrix team, which doesn't seem that kinky until they bring their slave out on stage and ride him around like a miniature pony and wait until his wife shows up to browbeat him in front of the crowd.
That rules.
That's a little bit of taking care of yourselves and each other.
That's right. Yeah.
I wonder how much of him and his show is just to normalize some of the shit he got busted for in that fucking massage parlor.
Oh, I think it's all there because you've got the scandalous mixed with the serious, where he is a guy who
I wonder if that thing put him into Arrested Development a little bit on that.
I think it must have because he was young too.
Yeah,
he was 25 when that happened.
Right.
27. He was a young guy. I think you're exactly right.
Yeah,
it's interesting.
and I mean the drama from that, and also just the knowledge, this is fucking stupid,
right?
Yeah,
this is ruining everything. Fuck this. This is real life. Where is the real life to? I mean, that is as much as they fake stuff, I've met these kinds of people.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
What? Where just something happened early on?
No, just fucking white trash.
Oh yeah.
Even those people are. They absolutely exist, and he really he was able to give them a platform,
Yeah.
and really show the world who we really are.
Who you are. Yeah.
He was the real Joker. He was breaking pool cues and going, how much do you really want to fuck this girl? Like, a lot of it's fake, but there's also, like, I've met people who absolutely, like, their lives are Jerry Springer episodes. Like, they're fucking out there.
Well,
Do you think?
And there was only shame and no real media representation.
Yeah,
well, fucking circus animals.
I'll share this tweet right quick. So this is from @JadeNicoleBear. Have any of you known someone on it or should have been on it? And what would your dream theme episode be?
Yeah, I mean, there was a.
I don't know anyone who's been on it except, but should have been.
Oh, I know
I'm from
tons.
Alabama. I for sure know some.
Yeah. Oh no, I know tons. I mean, there was a. My friend's mom fucked all of his friends but me as a kid, and she went to jail. That should have been a Jerry Springer episode. Boom, right there.
Yeah.
I should have got that bipolar Italian on fucking Spring. That's just the one most relevant to me.
Yeah. Well, so the thing that comes to my mind, and I don't know who he'd be fighting with, but it would be a guy that Jerry could maybe empathize with, was a city councilman who got busted high on meth on the train tracks and then like kicked out a cop car window and fought a bunch of cops. And I'm like, this guy's fucking cool. But I just feel like my whole town is filled with characters like that. Actually, on our episode we did a couple years back with Keith Carey, I talked about Roadkill, who is like a crazed man who wanders around my town and talks about how he raised a buzzard.
I think
up
I
from
listened.
scratch.
Yeah, I think I listened.
Yeah, so I have this whole like cast of characters.
Oh, you mentioned him on the Mean Boys bonus episode.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Which, by the way, you can still listen to it. Patreon.com.
That's right. But yeah, so I feel like I just have like a cast of characters from my hometown where they could just do an episode and just get them all on there, and eventually they'd start brawling.
One of my good friends, I'm not gonna say his name because I think he'd be hurt if I said it, but he absolutely would be. Every story of his would have. They're too poetic to be on Jerry Springer.
They'd be wasted on the Springer crowd.
Yeah, they're too poetic.
They're wasted on daytime. They need to be in prime time.
They're like heroes' journeys as opposed to.
But it's all the same context of baby mama and huffing pains.
Yeah.
Chucking change at a hooker and like just like it absolutely. I'm not making any of this up. It absolutely. He deserves better than that. He deserves like a novel written about him. He would have been too good for that. He's too deep for that show.
I'm like thinking about this. I'm thinking about I did all of the Jerry Springer stuff. Like I did stuff that would get me on Jerry Springer. Like, like maybe to a degree. Well, I was just trying to think of the craziest person from my past, and I was like, well, I used to drink a lot of Robitussin to trip on it, like drugs. You understand?
Yeah.
And we would always see this guy carrying around a cross dressed as Jesus. And I don't know, maybe he would have a story or a yarn or two to spin on Jerry Springer.
Hang on. Okay. While you were tripping on Robitussin, you would always see a man dressed as Jesus dragging a cross.
Yeah. Just like in the middle of the
while
town.
While you were high. Only when you were high on Robitussin this would happen.
Yeah. It was weird. Like we would be on the way to IHOP and then we'd see him.
Were you hallucinating, do you think?
We thought so, and then like we brought a sober friend, and he was like, "No, that's Jesus."
Oh, okay.
And he like leaned out of the car and grabbed a bunch of creamers and yelled, "Fuck you, Jesus!" and threw them at him.
I love the idea of you bringing a hallucination onto Jerry Springer.
Yeah,
I was waiting for 86. How did you know that was Jesus of all people? That's the kind of person you hallucinate with.
Yeah.
One of my friends from not friend, but acquaintance I made in my first trip to a psych ward, she thought she was Jesus. They're all over Jesus is everywhere.
Yeah.
Not the religious Jesus, but people who think they're Jesus are everywhere.
This is if you have a messianic complex, you're not shooting for one of the apostles.
No.
Like, you're Jesus.
This is what Protestantism has done to us, honestly. If Martin Luther just kept his big fucking mouth shut, we wouldn't have had all these goddamn people thinking they could talk to God, let alone beat God.
That's Martin Luther.
Yeah.
Just to clarify.
Did I say Martin Luther King?
No. I didn't say, it's just I'm talking
Here's the problem with Martin Luther King.
I was like, if I
freed all them fucking Catholics.
if I accidentally said that, I would be.
Taught him to
You
think
didn't.
freely and speak
my
freely.
butthole clenched up as soon as.
What did you think I was talking about?
No, you were talking about
All
the right
them
thing.
Lutherans think they can ride in the front of the bus.
There was a woman on the show named Sandra whose brain told her that she had to take a power saw and chop off both of her legs. And the name of the episode, I'm happy I cut off my legs.
I'm sorry. Her name was Sandra?
Sandra or Sandra, yeah.
It was just draw before I did it.
There was an episode titled You Slept With My Stripper Sister.
There's nothing wrong with that.
Nope.
That doesn't mean anything. You can absolutely do that.
Yeah, you know that episode. As soon as that guy came out, the first words out of his mouth had to be, "I'm just a man, Jerry."
Yeah.
What? Who could possibly be grieving there, or who has the grievance if you slept with your? I guess it would probably be the stripper. 'Cause like, well, you're not going to you're not going to chuck dollars at me if you can just fuck that. You know, the closest thing to me. I love the idea that the stripper's getting up there for business reasons. But yeah, that would be the place to do it.
So these are the kind of shows they're pumping out. And in 1998, at the peak of the show's popularity, Education Secretary William Bennett and Connecticut Senator Joe Lieberman spoke at a National Association of Broadcasters convention and implored broadcasters to remove the Jerry Springer Show from their schedules.
No.
Quote, drop it, or if you won't drop it, urge the producers to clean up the show, Lieberman pleaded.
I'm Bill Bennett. It's a pleasure to be with Senator Joseph Lieberman again, my colleague. We're here to make an argument. We do not make it out of some sense of self-righteousness. We make it, as Joe was saying, because we think it's important that broadcasters, people who make these shows, people who run these companies, draw some lines, develop some code of conduct, make some judgments. What you just saw in the Springer Show is not the greatest hits over the last 10 years or a year. That was just from 1 week in early March.
Quote, we're here for 3 reasons, Bennett added. The first is to remind broadcasters of the high standards that they once had.
Okay.
The second is
You know what? At a point, that was a fair point. At a point in time, the people couldn't. People had to be
suppose.
honest. People look at the old footage, news footage. Everyone looks like they work at a fucking a mortuary.
Yeah.
They're all stuffed up and factual, and
Yeah.
you know what I mean, like that. There was a switch.
They once had high standards. The second is to remind people in the business of how low much of it is sunk and to remind people of the enormous influence and responsibility they wield. The kind of perversity and violence on the show every day has to have a bad effect on the people and the children who watch it, Lieberman said. Springer is not a network show. You make the decision to carry it and it's not worth it. If you can't do that, at least put it on late night so that fewer kids are watching. And if you recall, they did.
Fair.
Yeah. I mean, they didn't move it to late night. They just also showed it late at night as well.
Yeah.
They still showed it in the middle of the day, and then if you stayed up till like 2 a.m., they'd run that, and they'd run like
I mean,
Donahue.
It's fair to be like, we don't want children to see this, but at the same time, I'm thinking, I did watch. Like, I do think that people put too much pressure on television raising their kids, because I was saying, like, thinking about it, I was a fucking 13-year-old watching that show for the first time, and I was very aware it was stupid. I was very aware that it was bullshit, but I still enjoyed watching it, even though I felt guilty. But all those feelings I had about it, it's because of the morals my parents instilled in me.
Sure, yeah, absolutely.
So if you know what I mean? So just blaming the television show for being like, watched the show, enjoyed the show, knew it was garbage, and it had zero effect on my life.
Right.
Because my parents weren't fucking nincompoops.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, like, yeah, I think that's a fair point, but also, like, I'm so over people blaming entertainment. Stop turning the television into a fucking babysitter and the iPhone into a babysitter. If you don't want a kid fucking give it to a fire station or something, but like don't phone it in.
Right.
Yeah.
I hate that point. I hate it when people do that.
Well, and they do it now too. Anytime there's a fucking shooting of any kind, they're like, oh, it was
Video games.
We're still doing this, and this is such
You know what? I blame VeggieTales for the reason my child was afraid of broccoli. It's like people take anything and just they intake, and then it gets mixed in there.
Yeah.
And then it turns into have nothing to do with anything that what the creator was making, what the actors were.
Yeah.
I've seen it just podcasting.
Right.
People get opinions on shit where it's like, what the fuck are you talking about?
Yeah.
Are you writing into the wrong show? What are you talking about? So and that's because your parents sucked.
The only time media has just really affected me, and it's funny you mentioned broccoli, was for years I thought Brussels sprouts sucked because all popular depiction of Brussels sprouts in popular media
Ooh, yucky.
was
They're great.
Yucky.
Yeah.
They're the shit. Just put some fucking balsamic on them, put them in the oven, roast them, some bitches, and they are delicious. Fuck you, Rugrats, for making me think Brussels sprouts are terrible.
And that's not even the way I was thinking of cooking them.
Yeah.
They're phenomenal.
Spinach is great too.
But I also played a lot of Duke Nukem and Doom and all those games, and I didn't fucking kill anybody, so
yeah.
Well,
what's the argument is that just to play devil's advocate, does it normalize or desensitize you to
violence.
The content or to violence? I mean, video games, yes.
It does if that's all you're doing. Well, here's the thing.
That's the only stimulus you have at home.
We're all desensitized.
Yeah.
We are all desensitized. So really, by completely cutting your kids off from all media, you are now keeping their skin super smooth and thin.
Yeah.
And then at some point, they're going to go into the real world and have no idea and be just fucking overwhelmed by everything. If you do things in moderation at the right age, it's an immune system.
Right.
It's a social immune system.
That's
to be like,
exactly
wow,
right.
Some people cheat on their wives with strippers who gave them HIV, and now they gave it to the babysitter. Wow. Fuck.
Yeah.
And so, but it doesn't help to, not saying that kids should watch that show.
No.
But I'm really trying to give the example, like, if you're a good parent, I saw it at an impressionable. I'd argue middle school is the most impressionable age.
That's when I saw it.
7th grade to 10th grade is probably the most impressionable era besides your young adolescence.
Yeah.
I would argue.
Yeah.
And it had less than zero effect on me.
Yeah.
I guess to circle back to the circus analogy is do you think kids watching circuses when they were at an impressionable age wanted to get shot out of a cannon all of a sudden?
Well, that's the famous thing, right? Is you want to run away with the circus was the turn of the century version of that, where you could be so enchanted by something that you would give up a normal life, you would eschew a normal existence to quote unquote join the circus or whatever.
Right.
Even the film Jackass.
Right.
People said this. Oh, what if my kids do it?
Yeah.
One, why aren't you telling your kids how fucking stupid these people? If you're a parent and you watch it with them and you just make fun of them and you can laugh together, the kids are going, "Wow, it's really stupid to hit myself in the balls with a hammer."
Yeah.
Wow, what an idiot thing to do. It's funny though. I enjoy laughing with my family.
You can have the correct approach, which is I am so happy someone did this, so I can watch it and I don't have to do it.
Exactly.
Well, it's most families they'll either watch it with them and enjoy it, or they'll ban them from watching it, and then they go off to their separate corners.
But then it
house to
becomes
watch
taboo. Then the kids
right,
watch
and it becomes enticing. It's forbidden.
How do I? What is the relation here? What is the significance?
Oh, that is. What I wanted to get to in this exact era, which we're talking about 99 2000, Jerry Springer exists simultaneously as Beavis and Butthead, Tom Green,
Howard Stern.
Oh, Tom Likas was this era
Tom
too.
Likas.
Yeah.
There's all these shock jocks, and then also over on the USA Network, motherfucking the Attitude Era of WWF. Vince Russo, who was their producer, he took so much stuff from Jerry Springer. They just added Jerry Springer to pro wrestling.
Yeah.
And that is this era that is very much celebrated now by most wrestling fans of being this was the golden era, but if you watch it, it's so transparent of what they're trying to do, making everything about, cheating, and they would end up with these weird dead-end storylines where they couldn't really do anything, where they made an 80-year-old woman pregnant, and she ended up giving birth to a human hand and shit like that, where because they couldn't resolve it.
Here's what I think is going to happen, because right now, because it's different eras and levels of suppression, explosion, neutrality, suppression.
Yeah.
And so we are going out of this era with explosion.
Yeah.
Then it got a little neutral, and then we're getting. I think we're about halfway through suppression.
Yeah.
In terms of what we see on the media, also the kinds of music. There's no fucking like.
Yeah.
What kind of music has any? When was the last new song that you listen to? Like, wow, fucking, that's angry.
Yeah.
It's either sad, happy, or horny for popular music.
Nihilistic.
Right.
Yeah.
But there's the whole, we're all void of anger. We're all suppressing our, and only releasing it through media. It's on Twitter. And what's going to happen is there's going to be an explosion.
Yeah, like a punk explosion, if you will.
Yeah.
I was listening to a podcast and they were kind of talking about the phenomenon of SoundCloud rap. And one of the things about it, they were saying was like in the 90s, it was all about drugs, but it was about dealing drugs and becoming rich. And now it's very nihilistic. It's just about doing them. And staring down like an oblivion.
I mean, I don't know if that's nihilistic as much as it's stupid. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think or depressing. I don't necessarily. I don't know. I get weirdly defensive of the term nihilism.
Sure.
That's because I identify as a nihilist. So I think when people do stupid things or I see what you're saying.
I would clarify like cultural nihilism, like the whole culture doesn't see a future because we've basically scientists have given us a date of about 50 years before everyone is fucked.
Right.
And so and if you kind of track that all the way back to like what the thing that teenagers are making now. There is always that in the background of just like, oh, there is about to be nothing for them. And all the art is reflective of that.
I really, back to your point, I really do think that it does make for like a perfect like welling of anger. Because like even like music that is by trade supposed to be aggressive, metal music, punk music, that's all kind of retreads of classic forms of that. Nostalgic forms of that. So I think there is like a real like sort of bubbling of anger that's going to express itself in something stand-up music.
And you can even see it. You can see it because the people do it. People always think it's the art first. People were doing all this cheating and horseshit and fucking. They're doing all that stuff, and then they go, "We could just make a show about this."
Right.
It's the people do it first, and then you go, "Oh, here is an outlet."
Yeah.
Right now, everyone is furious, and there's no answers. And so that's what the art will be in the next couple years.
Yeah. Well,
I think that's a safe assumption.
So it's funny you mentioned that, right? So one of the things I read, they had their Millennium edition of Time magazine in 2000. So it was released in December of 2000, and they proclaimed that the Jerry Springer Show is, quote, the worst TV show of the millennium.
I don't necessarily it's probably the worst successful one.
Well, back to what you were saying, that basically Time magazine is saying that the face we see in the mirror
it's the most representative show too. Yeah,
is the worst face of the millennium. It's basically just a major publication just being like,
that's us.
We're looking into the fly swarmed face of the Lord of the Flies.
Yeah,
that's just being like, this is terrible. You're like, it's us.
That was our parents, or the generation between us and our parents is fucking
Gen X
guts.
Yeah.
That was their fucking guts. That's what was under the surface of what was happening.
Yeah.
For us, I don't think I almost said Jerry Seinfeld. I don't think Jerry Springer.
Oh, he's complicit too.
I don't think Jerry Springer.
Horse fucking and buggies getting coffee.
Show about nothing.
Show about nothing. Jerry Springer is today's is yesterday's fucking Kardashians.
Yeah.
Back then it was about in the 90s it was about the drama and it's still a lot of those things, but now it's layers of vanity.
Right. I think
we're just more narcissistic than we were when Springer was at its height.
We're more entitled. Yeah,
we're more entitled. We're more vain, and so that's the most popular reality TV show reflects that.
Right.
But it is a true reflection of the parts of the society we don't like thinking about.
Yeah. This is from our friend at cardaholic, Brian from Montana. Shout out to Brian. He says of the Springer Show, early years were glorious, but got neutered in the later years. Now he's on a court show as the judge. Dear God, please stop. And I say, Brian, I think I bet we've changed his mind after this. I don't want Jerry to ever stop. I think Jerry is good people, and he always is consistent. Whenever people ask him about his crazy shows and stuff, he goes, "Hey, I'm just doing a job."
Yeah, just
doing a gig.
just putting my time in at the Slud Factory. Not to shame anybody.
No, we love sluts. We love them here. I'm not shaming anything. So, in the last little few notes here, in 2003, a musical version of the show called Jerry Springer the Opera.
What?
Holy fuck!
Jerry Springer the Opera debuted in London, and it toured around the UK.
Come and see. The music's really good, very cleverly done, very good parodies and pastiches there, and loads of swearing.
Yeah, it was quite controversial, but absolutely fantastic, like nothing I've ever seen before.
So, Chucky, how do you fit into all of this?
If she don't stop, I'll find me another woman.
What you gonna do? Buy her or drop her?
Gonna find me something to replace her tainted, sagging old skin.
Good. I'm tired of your little dick flesh. It's so small, I get more pleasure from fucking myself with my own clitoris.
All women are whores, whores or sluts or prostitutes.
You don't know shit. He just inbred for a nipple cousin fucker.
Shut your dirty mouth, sit the fuck down. Sit down, hear me? Hey, sit the fuck up.
The Christian Community Project protested, one of the reasons being that it contained 8,000 obscenities.
I'm sure it was a hit in London because they're like, yeah, this is the most representative American.
Of course it was a hit. It was a massive hit. BBC decided to air a performance of the show in 2005, and 45,000 angry viewers contacted the station about the content.
Wait, 40,000 people complained?
45,000 people complained about the Springer Show in England, you know?
So funny.
And it's the Springer musical,
Could you imagine being that edgy?
Yeah. And this is like 2005.
Because here, unlike everything that's getting protested today, it never really had a giant backbone of people coming out going, "No, this is great."
Yeah,
it had a bunch of people watching it
silently,
gleefully,
but not. They no one ever stuck up for that show.
No,
that's so true. Yeah,
that show did so well without anyone defending it. They were still
beating Oprah.
Yeah,
like regularly beating Oprah, which means a shitload of people are watching. Nobody's talking about it.
It's a "you are what you eat" thing. Or it's like, it's trash. I watch it all the time, so I guess I'm trash.
I mean, then we're back to the damn Kardashians thing.
Yeah.
Reality television has filled that role for a lot of people because it also just plays all day. People passively kind of watch it. It's born of exploitation and horror, and people can't look away.
Greed and vanity.
And they will apologize. Like, people will tell you, like, "Oh yeah, I watched that show. I mean, I'm sorry, it's stupid." And you're like, they have huge ratings. You're not alone.
No, you shouldn't apologize.
Yeah.
You should hang yourself.
Because you live in a hellscape.
Oh no! See, I always say the same thing. I'm
Look,
like, hey,
I'm kidding. Don't actually kill yourself.
Yeah.
Because you watch the Kardashians. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. Sorry, I'm kidding. Sorry, I'm making jokes.
Honestly, what I always say to them is, I'm like, listen, I'm in no position to criticize. I've watched about 5 hours of professional wrestling every week since I was 9, and that's the same goddamn thing. Whatever, everybody's got their thing, and this is
I watch hockey. It's fucking
right. Yeah, and you watch for the fights are the cool part. You know?
No, I love the game.
Okay.
Yeah, I love the game, but it's still like it's a thing to escape into.
Right.
But it doesn't really like. There's no nutrients to watching sports.
I only read classic novels and watch the Criterion Collection. Psych. I read comic books.
Yeah. No one can say that honestly. Who also does voices?
Yeah, no. The hackiest thing there is.
No, I'm not calling it a hack. You were good at them. I'm not giving you shit. I told you. I wish I could do that. They give me so many options.
The musical expanded to the U.S. in 2007, and Las Vegas was the first American city to host the performance, naturally. The next year, Harvey Keitel played Springer in a 2-day New York City performance.
What? That must have been fucking awesome.
I don't know who that is.
Harvey Keitel.
Oh, he's
from,
the shit.
You've seen Pulp Fiction, right?
Yeah.
You're Jimmy, right? This is your house?
Sure is.
I'm Winston Wolfe. I solve problems.
Good, we got one.
So I heard. May I come in?
Yeah, please do.
It's a 15-minute drive over there. I'll be there in 10.
That's right.
God, he's the Brooklyn Bulldog, I believe his nickname is. God, he rules.
This is one of the greatest actors ever. I would fucking kill to see him in goddamn...
As Jerry Springer?
As Jerry Springer,
Jesus.
Like the long-running daytime talk show,
Who the hell do you think you are?
Jerry Springer the Opera is an equal opportunity offender. And the over-the-top parody, gays, blacks, Christians, and the obese are just a few who are tweaked for laughs. And as far as the opera's lyrics are concerned, well, it ain't Madame Butterfly, as tenor Luke Grooms makes painfully clear.
Little Liz. I got addicted to crack and dope, crack and dope.
In the New York performances, Jerry Springer is played by Harvey Keitel. He doesn't sing, but as the ringmaster of this three-ring circus, he moderates the action. Richard Thomas, the show's author and composer, said turning the tawdry talk show into a stage production was a no-brainer.
I just remember seeing there's these 8 people on stage screaming at each other. You couldn't understand a word they were saying. There was an audience screaming at them. And I thought, my God, this is like opera.
The opera hasn't even opened here yet, and it already has its critics. They point to scenes in which Jesus sports a diaper and Mary is inappropriately touched by an angel. The Catholic League has led the protest, calling the show patently obscene and viciously anti-Christian. Despite the potential backlash, cast members are predicting success with New York audiences.
I think people are ready to take a look at the sensationalism of this kind of reality TV and talk show TV and say, what are we doing? Look at what we're putting up on TV.
All right, not quite sure what to say, but what does Jerry Springer have to say about it?
He's not officially tied to the production at all,
Right.
but obviously he's thrilled.
loving every minute of it.
He's loving it. I mean, who knew? This show started in the early 90s. No one knew that it would become an American icon. Love it or hate it, it really is a part of American culture.
As of last year, the Jerry Springer Show had basically kind of sliding ratings over the past 10 years, and they went on hiatus, and they were not renewed for another season. And that is when Jerry Springer transitioned to Judge Jerry. And now you can still see him, 75 years old, on TV, litigating trashy-ass complaints in small claims court.
Former lawyer, mayor, and talk show host. Now, he's Judge Jerry Springer. Plaintiff Marlene Lancaster is suing the defendant, her niece, for destroying her car, failing to repay a loan, and emotional distress. Defendant Candace Hancock says she doesn't owe her auntie anything because the money was a gift, not a loan. And the accident wasn't her fault.
You looped all the way back around to actually using that law degree.
Honestly, for all the mirrors he's shown to America, I just hope he's happy. Like, is he happy?
Well, it's like what we were talking about at the beginning. You were asking like about the politics thing. He goes and he talks about politics on TV all the time.
Mm-hmm.
He's treated as an expert. I mean, he's lifelong Democrat. Very smart guy. He's one of those people that he puts himself in a position to kind of surprise you with how intelligent he is, because you hear Jerry Springer and you just imagine
he pulls a D. Snyder at the parental advisory.
Oh yeah, the PRMC. Yeah,
PRMC.
Yeah. Like, oh, Frank Zappa shows up in a tie, and you're like, oh, this guy's not a dummy at all.
I always assumed he was smart. I never assumed that he was actually a politician, and I thought he was smart for the reason I stated above. But I mean, I wasn't expecting him. Like, he was a lawyer. He had a law degree.
Mm-hmm.
He ran for office. Like,
One office, twice. Yeah. City councilman,
No, wow,
mayor of
it's,
Cincinnati. It's a big city.
That should show you how bleak politics is. He was in a position where he could affect change and went, oh, you know what? What's just as hopeful as this? Watching fucking strippers fight over baby daddies.
Yeah. Shooting little people out of a cannon into a giant bikini pool filled with fudge.
Yeah.
That does sound fun, though.
It is fun.
In this land, you're either the cannon or the little person. And I'm no little person.
How you doing there, dude? Sometimes the cannon shoots you. Other times you're the cannon. I'll read off. We just got a couple of tweets here. This is from Jesse_Wagner_. A lot of underscore people today. Which daytime trash TV host would win in a free-for-all fight? I bet Montel would wipe the floor, but Joan Rivers would have given him a run for his money back in the day.
Oh, yeah. I was going to say Montel.
So, Wilkos. The former cop.
Yeah, you're right. Steve. Yeah, Steve.
What are you talking about? Someone said at Osiris 429560334.
I think these last two are both. I know Osiris is, but I think Jesse's also an old.
Is he a Mean Boys guy?
Yeah, I think these are Mean Boys people.
Yeah. So could he take Montel? Montel is 6'7", and that's what at Osiris says. So. Oh, Wilkos versus Montel. If Montel's 6'7",
I don't know what Montel looks like.
Steve and Montel are both large, bald dudes. You know,
Is Montel? I remember him kind of being like gentle. They all seemed kind of gentle.
But he's 6'7".
Montel's that big?
That's according to. Hey, look, if at Osiris is lying, we're flying. Okay.
No, you're right. Okay.
True North there. I'm sure he knows. No, but for real, yeah. Supposedly 6'7". Wilkos is bold pitbull though. He's
shit.
Yeah.
You know what? Montel Williams. He has the height. He doesn't have the weight.
Yeah.
But he was in the Marines and the Navy.
Ooh.
Oh shit. Yeah, he's got it though.
Oh, this might be a draw then. Wilkos versus Montel. Fucking
ex-Marine
Godzilla
versus ex-Chicago PD.
You know what? Any hand to hand, I'm giving it to Wilkos.
Wilkos.
I think any weapon, knife, gun, nuke, it goes to Montel.
Yeah. See, I was thinking if you got the height advantage, if it's a boxing match, Montel with the height advantage. But if it's like anything goes, I think Wilkos is, cops will do anything to win. So
yeah, but Wilkos definitely weighs more than the guy.
That's true.
And if like people always talk about height advantage, you know how you got to have technique in order to actually use that to your advantage.
Right.
And that dude's not going to be able to fucking jab that. He's not going to be able to stick him enough to keep him from just walking up and ripping him in half like a phone book.
I think suffice to say, who's getting just pummeled to dust is probably Geraldo.
Fuck Geraldo.
Yeah.
I don't even know who that is.
This is I think we addressed this, but I'm gonna read it anyway. Just because I love her screen name. At So Today I Cried says, stoked for a Tom episode. Hey, are there any Jerry Springer episodes or guests that have stuck with you guys over the years? So I think we kind of talked about that. I mean, I think the horse fucker is probably going to win. Although, there's probably some other.
It all kind of bleeds into one. None of it really sticks out. I mean, it's fun hearing about it now.
Absolutely, yeah.
There wasn't one where like that was particularly shocking. At a certain point, it's just like, it's all the same shit.
See, now I'm all fucking worried I wasn't funny enough on this.
Oh,
episode.
it was so goddamn funny.
Like fuck,
Tom.
people are just excited for me.
Yes, of course they are.
Why?
Funny,
they're hilarious.
What are you talking about?
Yeah, well,
Come on.
so shooting a midget out of a cannon. That doesn't mean it's good.
But yeah, by the way, if y'all felt like there was a piece of this episode missing, that would be the 1998 classic, and we're coming up on the 21st anniversary, November 25th, 1998. The film Ringmaster was released, and this Thursday, patreon.com/thegoodspod, we're going to be talking about Ringmaster, the Jerry Springer movie. So so sign up for the Patreon and check that out. That's Springer. Tom, Where can people find you on the internet, sir?
On the internet, you can find me at Goss6.
Great follow, by the way. One of my favorites, honestly.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, I need to. There was a period there I was tweeting almost every day, and I need to do it more. You'll at least get something once or twice a week from me.
Yeah. No, they're always choice nugs from Goss6.
Thank you. That's Twitter and Instagram. You can listen to my podcast, Leaving the Tribe, on all podcasting apps, and then also right now my album is pinned.
Yes. Okay. So talk about your record, Death in Chicago.
Dead from Chicago.
Sorry.
Dead from Chicago. I recorded it in August, and it was it was a lot of fun.
Past guest of the show and close friend Kyle Clark, I believe, recorded it. Right?
Yes, he did. It's on his Radland Records. And yeah, no, it was. I did a lot of dates working out and figuring out what it was that I wanted on it and what I didn't and what order, and it ended up being so much fun putting together the show that we recorded. It was absolutely the correct show. The people that came out, they were fucking awesome.
That's great.
And it came out really good.
The album cover is fucking sick.
Andrea Guzetta did the art, and she fucking killed. I saw the art, and I was like, dude, I don't know if my album can follow the art. Like that's
dude. We'll retweet that album art and a link to get over there at the Goods Pod so you can see it.
You can listen to it. You can stream it. I'd prefer, of course, if you just bought it.
Yeah, buy it. Give the man some money.
But if you're sitting there going, oh, I gotta buy things for my children or whatever bullshit that you pretend to have to do. No, but seriously, if you can't, you can still listen to it on Spotify and shit. But
oh man,
if you can afford it, buy the fucking thing.
Here's what you do. Listen to it on Spotify, and then go see Tom on the road and buy a physical copy. Buy everything the man's got.
Yeah. No, that's
win-win.
Yeah. So listen to it now. This is how I listen to a lot of independent music. I listen to it on Spotify, but then I go see the fucking band. So
honestly, I would prefer that.
With comedians, sure, check it out. Yeah. Give it a listen. But if you like it, go see the man and give him some money.
Check out my audio business card available on Black Friday. And then come out to my live shows.
Definitely go see Tom on the road if he's coming to your town, and if he's not, fucking come to LA and see him around town. He does shows all the time.
I don't do shows in LA. I only do shows in places that other people don't want to be. Stop making.
It's a great strategy. I'm on that same I'm on that same tip. I'm coming to see you, Central Pennsylvania. Let's go. But yeah, Carter, where can people find you online?
You can find me at Carter_Glasscock on Twitter. Find me at Dr. Clark on Instagram.
Yeah. And of course, you can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Rivers Langley. You can check out the Patreon where we're talking about Jerry Springer's Ringmaster this Thursday. Patreon.com/thegoodspod. $5 a month gets you a bonus show every week and special goodies. All kinds of fun stuff. Find us on Facebook, facebook.com/thegoodspod. We're on Twitter at thegoodspod. Every episode ever, youtube.com/thegoodspod. Buy a shirt, prowrestlingtees.com/thegoodspod. The best way to help this show is to go to Apple Podcasts, rate, review, and subscribe. Leave a comment because all of that shows the attitude of gratitude. And if you don't have the attitude of gratitude, fuck you.
Yeah.
Take care of yourselves and each other.
Say things aren't going well, you're halfway to hell, you lost everything that counts. Gone is your spouse and maybe the house, all you haven't lost are pounds. The kids are bawling, creditors calling, when did life become this curse? The car won't run, your days seem done, could things ever get any worse? But then there's Oprah, Bill and Sally, and Jerry Springer too. A little dose of a talk show host, you won't seem quite as blue.
The Goods from the Woods was mixed, edited, and distributed by me, Rivers Langley. You can find the show on Twitter at The Goods Pod. Our theme song was composed by DJ Smiles. Check him out on Twitter at DJ Smiles.
This was a Brain Freeze podcast.